listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Man, I am just ready to dive into this dominating 73-57 Texas Tech win over Michigan today.
Doesn't that feel good to beat them again?
Oh, man.
Gosh.
Yeah, just a, pretty much a domination from start to finish. Cambridge with 17 points. I'm just not even sure where to start. This team's been kind of confusing, to say the least, even this week. But yeah, I mean, it's however you want to tackle that. I'm ready to talk about it.
That was perfect. Yeah, I was joking with Michael before the game even started. I was like, we may just do like a Michigan instant reaction, depending on how the football game goes. And I'm kind of feeling like we should just punt.
Which that game is, not to really distract too much from it, but that game is almost as baffling as the one we just watched, which we will actually talk a little bit more about, the 57-7 depantsing of your Texas Tech Red Raiders in the state capitol as UT makes their way out to the bountiful fields of the Southeastern Conference. But yeah, both just kind of, it's early in the season for basketball, so I haven't reached a point to where I'm going to get too crazy about it. But yeah, this game was just, it blew my mind. I don't know. I knew Tech was going to really be up against it this week. We didn't record, but spoiler alert, if we'd have recorded, I think I had like a 35-21 UT win. I thought it was going to be a 2-touchdown win, and it was going to be a tall order for Tech to really make a go of it. But when your offense can't move the ball and you have a couple of big plays given up on defense, despite holding that offense for 5 field goal attempts in a row, it's not going to go your way, man. And you've got a commissioner who inadvertently fired up the wrong team, I guess. And everybody's backs against the wall because, poor little old UT, nobody believes in them. I mean, they've just got everything stacked against them. You feel for them. So
Yeah, man.
that was something we may not have accounted for enough, is how little they care about this game, that they cared so much about this game. Something I wasn't really prepared to account for. So what do you got? Where do you want to start, man, on this just awful 4 hours to get this thing going? Sickening. How did this game take 4 hours? There were like 38 pass attempts.
You're not.
I know there are a lot of
kidding.
injuries. There were a lot of injuries, and I'm not going to try to make any jokes or anything on that, but
There's
just insane
yeah.
that this just prolonged the agony that much longer for all of us Tech fans.
So speaking of injuries, want to wish Cameron Watts well. Hopefully his not too serious when you get carted off the field in a neck brace and you don't move. Granted, the broadcast was saying that he was moving arms and legs before the training staff got there. So
Okay.
But still, like you would have hoped for a wave or a thumbs up or something on the way out, and he didn't. It felt like in the first half, like things were kind of snowballing against Texas. Like they were losing guys at every position. Granted, they started off the day without their top running back Brooks, and Baxter went down. Worthy was walked off the field and went to the locker room. Their tight end Sanders went off the field. Um, they were losing defenders. It was like, man, like in terms of health and opportunity, like there felt like there should have been more space there, more breathing room for Tech, and my gosh, it didn't matter. Um, you moved the ball in just ineffectively. That's dumb. You were inconsistent when you did have some success. You couldn't put things together. Your receivers couldn't catch a ball. When they did catch a ball, they were short of the line to gain. Um, you would think that that would have been addressed by now, but um, 3rd and 5, let's run a 2-yard route.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that was the play call or the coaching, either way, that still that to me that falls on the coaching staff, right? Like you're either coaching it or allowed to happen, right? Like we've heard that adage so many times. If your receivers continue to do this through as many weeks as we've complained about this, then like you're not doing your job as a coach to coach them how to do it otherwise. Um, you couldn't catch the ball. I mean, I don't know if there was a lack of effort, lack of what. I mean, your top receiver, Coy Eakin, 4 catches on 9 targets. Taj Brooks was your second leading receiver, also had 4 catches.
Yeah, and 2 of those were in the first 2 or 3 drives.
I know, yeah, at least the first play of the game, yeah, and it was
Yeah.
that was
A
one
screen.
of the sideline
That'll get their
pass,
chains moving.
a throw to the sideline. Xavier White, 3 catches on 5 targets. McCray, 2 catches on 4 targets.
And one of McCray had a drop that may have been Morton's best thrown ball ever.
Yeah,
I just couldn't. He hit him in such stride on a well-run route, and McCray dropped it. But he made up for it with that 55-yard kickoff return.
Mm-hmm.
Just what felt like a few plays later, which between that and the pass interference call was the only way Tech was able to get in the end zone all night.
Yeah. It's interesting in the sense that like he's kind of protected because he didn't actually end up on the stat sheet, but like Duran Bradley, just what a terrible game. No catches, so he doesn't, like I said, not on the stat sheet. I don't know how many times he was targeted. I know there were people saying that a couple of the interceptions were almost directly attributed to him giving up on a route. There was a near interception because Eakin had an inside breaking route, and then he took a couple of steps and basically just stopped. The ball went to where I probably would have been had he, finished his route, and ended up in the hands of a defender who didn't catch it. But he breaks his route to the inside. The ball would have been there, but he's standing still.
I have some more thoughts on as far as the receiving core, not to beat them up any more than they already have been and probably deserve, but a depressing thought is how does this offense get better between now and next year? This was a game without Miles Price. It was announced before that he thought he might be able to go, and then it was confirmed in the pregame, at least on Double T 97.3, that he was not going to go tonight. So we saw an offense without Miles Price, an offense that had Tharp have 1 catch on 2 targets. Kupp had a catch, but I think that was way late when the game was in hand pretty early on, but I think that's one of my main takeaways and worries is just what does this personnel look like next year? Whether Kitley's there or not, whether that's what you think is the solution to this problem. How does this personnel move the ball next year? and I'm having trouble finding out how, because Price won't be here. We saw what that looked like with him gone. Teeter and Cup are gone. I know they're back up, and at least Tharp's coming back, but we don't use our tight ends, so that kind of doesn't matter. I'm not sure about the young guys on the outside. The other guys we're losing Fungi, even though he's not playing much. We're losing Xavier White. The big elephant in the room, we're losing Taj Brooks. We've already lost Tyler Shuck, which we haven't talked about because that's been recorded since then. Our second leading rusher, even though he only played 4 games. So I don't know what this offense looks like next year. I don't know how it gets better. It's already, they went on tonight to not score, and so I did this math during the game, and Texas Tech went in tonight averaging 28.6 points per game, and after tonight it's going to be 26.8, which is their lowest by almost 3 points in the last 16 years, and I haven't looked beyond that, but I should, because I'm curious now. I mean, I feel like maybe one of Leach's first years, I know that the win-loss record was not good, but I bet his offense still put up some points. I just feel like we'll have to go back to Dykes to have less than 26.8 points per game on offense. When your defense, aside from tonight, boy, that's going to be an outlier. They came into the game giving up about 24 a game, which is really low for Texas Tech. But this that's what was sticking out to me. I just don't see how this offense gets better in the offseason. Even with, Micah Hudson? Sorry, I really am bad with keeping up with guys until they're here. But I believe he's coming. Everything he's shown and indicated on Twitter shows that. So I'm taking the young man for his word, but he's not going to be able to fix everything.
All right, can you hear me now?
I can. I just kind of rambled for a while.
Yeah, well.
And you were coming and going, so I thought I'm just going to keep going until he kind of pipes up. Hopefully we're good.
Yeah, so I wanted to respond to what you were saying about how the offense, we're not sure what the offensive production, what's going to look like next year. I saw some hand wringing on a forum about there was a receiver commit over the holidays. I'm talking about, like, you can't load up on this many receivers. You can, because you have to, because there's going to be nobody left. Eakin is not a Big 12 leading receiver. Aiken, whatever his name is. I should spend 37 seconds to figure out how to pronounce his name. Jordan Brown, he's not an answer. You mentioned everybody else that you're losing, like, that's a failure of the coaching staff. How you good Lord. All right, you back?
Yes, I saw in the comments that I'm echoing, and I can hear it too, but I couldn't hear it until you left and came back. I thought that might help.
Is it still doing it?
I think it's still there. Yeah.
Good Lord.
This is still going better than the Tech game did. I'm sorry, y'all, about the echoes. Not sure what to do about that. So Spencer's left, and I guess he'll come back. And we'll see how that goes. I think what I should do is go to the YouTube comments. So we got some from last sunrise. There was absolutely no football today. We have a very long way to go to be anything like the team we just got whooped by. Chase is mentioning during Watts's injury, UT played music the entire time he was down, which is not a good look. Oh, and yeah, I think we covered this earlier about McRae's kickoff return and the PI. That's the only way Tech got into the end zone. He's suggesting maybe buy the entire Alabama O-line on an NIL deal. I could still hear an echo on my end, but hopefully y'all don't hear it, at least in the recording. I was just going through comments, Spencer. I'm going to read a couple more from, I was like Emilio. Sorry, I just don't have like the brain power sometimes to read when a bunch of words are typed without a space. It's a me problem. But goes on to say, we were sold a lie this season. I hope it's the fuel to jumpstart next season. No pride for the finale against Texas. Man, that is true. That just a feeling of defeat. Even today, knowing that it was going to be really tough to beat this Texas team in their house. Just what a demoralizing, embarrassing way to lose. And I don't know how much this spreads over to the bowl game. If morale just kind of dips going into the bowl game, if preparation starts to, you start to see some things slip. I mean, this is really where you're going to see McGuire earn his paycheck and keeping this team motivated and keeping them focused and wanting to play and wanting to win and wanting to play hard against whoever they end up facing in the bowl game. Because it can be really easy to have a sloppy team come in, committing a lot of penalties. I'm thinking of those years, the year Tuberville left. I can't remember the exact bowl game, but Tech played a bowl game without Tuberville on the sidelines. And man, it was just chippy the whole time, and players were just not disciplined, and everybody was just ticked off. You could just feel it. And I'm hoping that's not what this is headed towards. This will really be a kind of a gut check time for him to make sure he can hold that locker room and play and keep these guys' emotions in check and not have them going out in a bowl game and just playing mad or playing like they don't care.
All right, one more test. Can you hear me? Is it echoing still?
I can hear you, and I've got no echo on my end. I think we're good now.
I hate this stupid thing, dude.
You've missed half the podcast, Spencer. I'm sorry.
No, I've heard most of it. I just couldn't. I had to be on mute, and I was turning stuff off and on, and I've got the return paperwork in my email. But with being out of town and holidays, this stupid piece of junk is still here. I shouldn't
Chase
even fired it up.
Chase reminded me it was the Texas Bowl, and Amaro got ejected, and I think he'd been hurt up until that bowl game, possibly. I don't remember if he played before it or not. I know he went down versus West Virginia, but then I can't remember if he came back. He's saying it's all fixed too, so we're both good to keep rolling. What else would you like to discuss about this wonderful game? The end of this storied rivalry. I think Texas ends with just a slightly. Let me look at this because I pulled this up earlier, and we were on the verge of really gaining on this record today, but it just wasn't in the cards for us. So
somehow I don't think you're telling the truth, Michael.
Well, Texas Tech has won 18 games in this series, looking for number 19 today, but instead the series will end in UT's favor, 55-18. Just the thinnest of margins. So just neck and neck with this team. I looked it up. I'm 40 years old, and in my lifetime, Texas Tech has won 13 times. So I was really clamoring for 14 in this series, but
in my
did not get that today.
In my fandom, in my time being a fan of Texas Tech, they've won 4 times. and lost 1, 2, 3. Oh, hold on. I gotta go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 13-4 are the Longhorns against Texas Tech in my time as a fan / student. So it's fantastic.
Do you want to talk how much it sucks to come out of halftime and give up a kickoff return touchdown?
No, it sucked.
Okay, we could just agree.
And we can agree that it sucked. That was the most unideal way to start a second half. I mean, you got your offense back on the field, but that didn't really matter much. It gave your defense a little bit longer of a break.
A couple other stats for you here. The offense averaged 13 yards per drive. They had an average third down distance of 7.4 yards. Had 6 3-and-outs. And punted the ball 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. So had more punts than points. Let's see what else. What else we got here? There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drives in single-digit yards or negative. So can't wait for another year of this offense without Taj Brooks or Miles Price.
Your longest drive of the night was 44 yards.
Yeah, and that was set up by a 55-yard kickoff return and a PI. That was, let me see what that was. That was the one we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so even the 44 yards or whatever it was wasn't actually the yards you picked up.
No.
With your offense moving the ball. You held Texas to no points on 4 drives, if I'm reading this correct. 1 punt, interception, punt, downs.
Correct.
And you scored once.
Yes.
So
defense, I mean, I guess one of the big things, and really a big thing, Hutchings didn't play. I was at the UCF game, so I didn't really know what all had happened and, how much he was going to be able to come back or not this week. So he was out. I know that Banks and McAlpine, I believe, were kind of trying to rotate in. No Linton, but that's been known for a while. Rodriguez, actually, they're redshirting him. He wasn't even at the game. So they didn't even take him. But, defensively, I felt like they did all they could in the first half. And then I think after that kickoff return, which was followed by a 3-and-out on the offense, it was just, I think everybody kind of folded up shop at that point.
Is this correct that Josiah Pierre led the team in tackles tonight?
That's what I'm seeing too. Yeah, 13 total tackles.
I don't remember seeing him on the field. Is that bad? I didn't think he played.
I think there was just so much garbage time in this game. It was hard to keep up with who did what. So who knows?
I mean, Roberts being up there with 12 tackles makes sense. Baskerville
makes sense.
Yeah, Lux, Bradford. I mean, the rest of them make sense, but yeah, I didn't think Pierre played, but I guess he did. I don't know, man. The whole thing just sucks. And I'll just say, nothing I'm going to say is going to influence this because I'm just a dude with a microphone. Like we've got to figure something else out on offense. And I don't know what that means. I don't know, like, from what I've been told by somebody that would know better, Kitley is here until he leaves on his own. Like he's not being fired. So strap in for another year of this kind of offense um, in year 3, where just disastrous, nonsensical decision making and uh, questionable play calling and preparation and coaching and development across the board for year 3. And unless for whatever reason that's changed tonight. But I'd heard this before the UCF game. Like, no, Joey's not going to fire Kittley. So I don't know if it's just like he's committed to his guy. Like he hired him as his first offensive coordinator, his first as a head coach. But Kittley apparently, at least as of the last I heard, is going to have to leave on his own for us to have any kind of difference on the offensive coordinator spot there. I mean, you can and you can't fault him for having to play 3 quarterbacks because he's not making the decisions, or he's not, he's not the one that's breaking people's legs. He's not in the sideline bashing people, but it's his play calling that's leading to this, and his coaching and teaching. Again, that's unfair to say like he has directly played a role in Shuck's injury, his leg being broken, or Morton's shoulder. But if you're down to 1 quarterback left on your roster and you're running a lot of quarterback power, like I've got to question your decision making, your trust on the guys behind him. We saw what Jake Strong was capable of doing, and you thought it was okay to run Baron Morton as much as you did. We knew that they were like, we forget that Will Burns is also a quarterback on this roster. But when it came down to who would be playing next behind Strong, it was, let's see who could have played quarterback in high school, but in fact was a wide receiver. Let's have him line up as a backup. Knowing that and then seeing the play calling is like, it's questionable to me, man. Continue to call those passes to the sideline that effectively get nothing is questionable. Like we want to talk about beating our heads against the wall. Like there were times when we were frustrated that we weren't running the ball enough, and Kit was like, well, we can't run it into heavy boxes. We can't just beat our heads against the wall because it's not working. It's like, you know what you did do that was beating your head against the wall was throwing those stupid freaking passes to the sideline. Never. I mean, there were very short stretches of time throughout this season where you could say we probably ran Brooks too many times. It got to be too predictable, and it was actually wearing down Brooks. Like he was beginning to lose his effectiveness, because as good as he is, even with the defense knowing that the ball was going to him, he was still able to make a lot of plays on his own. So I wanted to share that little tidbit that we may be stuck with Kittley unless he finds an offer somewhere else to be a head coach. Then I would question what that school's trying to do, what they saw. But there's just been so many times, so much. I wouldn't even say like anecdotal, but like there are numbers to be spun in a way that you can make it look like Kittley was a successful offensive coordinator here. And I think that's what would be used to defend him. I know that he tried to use one of those stats in his favor when he was defending why he wasn't running Brooks more. So if you look at that, you're like, well, he was the offensive coordinator when you had the best rushing performance you've had in a decade. True. And did it
almost single-handedly. Like Brooks had no rest, no reprieve. Like the second leading rusher on the team was a quarterback that hasn't played in 6 weeks or longer. Valdez, did he finally ever pass him? I don't think he did.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Valdez got some carries tonight, kind of late, but
I doubt it's been updated.
I doubt that put him over the top.
Let's see. Valdez, he ended up second. 36 carries, 233 yards. So he passed Shuck by almost 100 yards. But it took our second string running back to take over the quarterback that hadn't played in 6+ weeks till either game 11 or 12 on the season to do it. Anyways, that's not. I don't know, man. I just the feeling after this game, like I feel pretty defeated, whipped, and I'm not even like at this point in time, and I know it's tainted a little bit by tonight's outcome, but you brought it up looking ahead at the roster for next season. I have very little optimism for what the offense can do next year. And it was bad this year. Outside of Brooks, Morton was hurt. It's literally the first play that he got in this season. Shuck was, I believe, mostly healthy when he was in there. Obviously, like he played one snap after he broke his leg, but I think for the most part, when he was in the early part of the season, but like even then the offense wasn't great. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think probably the best game was against one of the worst teams, against Baylor. But you look back on that and you think, well, how great was that now? Because they had their own awful beatdown today. Or was it them? No. They don't play today. I'm getting that mixed up. That was TCU that got pummeled today by OU. 69 to something. 69 to 45.
Yeah.
And TCU was kind of coming back there for a little bit. I think they scored 3 touchdowns in a row. Maybe not in a row, but they scored 3 pretty quickly right after halftime, and then OU continued on. But they scored 45 points and lost. Tell me if you've heard that before.
Yeah.
As a Tech fan.
There were actually moments in the game tonight that I was like, this feels familiar. There was a play. It was late in the game, so it was already in hand. It's like a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 or whatever. Texas snaps the ball and the entire offensive line moves forward 4 yards. There was they met no resistance. It's like, great, we've given up. Fantastic. Like there was 7 guys. They all took 3 steps forward. And I was like, okay. Yes, the game's in hand, but that seals it for me. And I hate to pile on, and I've said that a lot this season when things go bad, but and I still kind of dump on it after that. But as much as we bought into the brand, you got to stop saying that shit when your team gets their ass kicked like they did tonight, and then you very visibly have given up. You were getting defeated, and not even it wasn't even close. Texas had put in walk-ons, and they were pushing around your starters. You beat this team head to head last year. You lost some talent. Like Donovan Smith is not making up 50 points here. That's not the difference. It was attitude tonight. And your receivers not being able to catch a ball, and your offensive coordinator with his head up his ass. All the things. Weird fluky plays like the blocked punt or the interception, the pick six. Like, I hate that. But that was the kind of game we had. Like, literally everything that could have gone wrong did.
Well, and I've noticed the lack of pushing the brand. Have you noticed that? Probably the last 6 weeks. It seems like
I guess that's
the
fair.
term,
Yeah.
the brand, the social media, all of that has just kind of gone away. It's like the brand just. What are you talking about? What do you mean the brand? I don't know what that is. Well, it's just this thing y'all created that you told us toughest, most hardworking, adversity, something. I don't know. And it's just missing. It's been gone. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean, I can't find it. I don't see it. It seemed like it was on every chance they had to advertise it in social media, in flyers, in graphics within Texas Tech athletics. It was there. The words, the brand were there, and they're just missing now. And I think they've purposefully done that because they know that we're sick of it. And I mean, like we've pointed out, to their credit, a 1-3 and a 3-5 team did make a bowl game. That's not something to sneeze at. But then to just lay an egg like this in front of your quote unquote biggest rival on national television on their way out the door to bigger and better things, and according to 90% of their fans, they'll never even think of little old Texas Tech again.
They probably won't.
Goodness. And they really might not. They really might not. But I sure know it meant a lot to them tonight, whether it mattered who they were playing or just the fact that they were reveling in the underdog story and Yormark being there and all that. I mean, it could have been anybody they were playing, and they may have felt the same way. But it was a rivalry game atmosphere, but no one's going to admit it. And yeah, in a few years, they're going to forget that Tech was even part of the thing that they were in, that they built and then also destroyed. So I'm with you. I think the brand's going bad for now, and I think they've backed off from it, rightfully so, because what we saw tonight was nowhere near that. That was a defense that did all they could until a kickoff return and a 3-and-out, and then they couldn't do anymore. That was who showed up tonight.
Yeah. I got nothing else, Michael.
I don't either. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of late, but I enjoyed the fake punt. That was kind of fun.
I only caught
Too
that
bad
on
there
the
were
radio.
2 penalties on it.
I only caught that piece on the radio.
Yeah, but it was great. It was it would have been a first down by a few yards. It was really well done. Aside from, what was it? I think there was a ineligible downfield. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just a little double whammy there for you. Great couple of interceptions by Braylon Lux tonight. I'm counting the first one, even though they overturned it.
I understood.
They could catch these hands because he caught that ball, my friend. I don't care what they say.
I can understand them overturning it there.
And I don't think we've discussed yet that Morton pulled a Mayfield and completely let that pick six just waltz in. If you look at the replay, that's pretty egregious. That wasn't really great. I guess he was probably kind of ticked off that it was a deflection, but dude, you threw it at his feet. So throw it at the numbers maybe, and he could have caught it. just crap. Just really, really bad offense. Yes, Texas is good defense. Yes, they are allowing 83 rushing yards per game. That's insane. But Tech was able to get a little bit more than that. Not a whole lot, but they did. They were able to move the ball against that defense. And credit to Texas too. It's not like I thought Tech was going to come in here and win this game. I just didn't expect it to be the debut of Arch Manning because it was so one-sided towards the end. And now we're going to be some niche Jeopardy category answer someday in the Arch Manning section. That's it. Let's see who we get in the bowl game. Did they decide that this? How soon do they decide that, Spencer?
After the
Is it after
conference
the
champ-
championship games? Yeah, that
Yeah.
would make sense.
So next Sunday.
Yeah, so we can focus on basketball now. Which, by the way, let me give a Lady Raiders update because they are in Vegas. They are playing Rutgers. Oh, it's final. Tech won. Tech won 79-72. So both basketball programs won today.
Programs.
Lady Raiders have yet to lose, and the men have only lost one after that big comeback win over Northern Iowa.
I don't understand this basketball team, man.
Me neither. And now I'm going to pay more attention to them and try to understand it, but I don't think I'm going to get any further on my analysis there. Really quickly, Big 12. So we talked about the TCU OU game today. That's was the only one played today aside from Tech's game. So tomorrow morning, Saturday, you've got Houston at UCF at 11 a.m., BYU at Oklahoma State at 2:30, West Virginia at Baylor at 6, Kansas at Cincinnati at 6:30, and then Iowa State at Kansas State. Farmageddon is at 7 p.m. So maybe by 7 o'clock, this bad taste of football I will have eaten enough pecan pie and pumpkin pie and whatever else is left in the fridge to get this UT game out of my mouth, and then I'll be ready for some Farmageddon. I think that can happen. I could see that.
I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow. We're running around a lot. I'm going to watch probably very little college football, and then I'll be out for a while. Like losing the way this, I'm done with football for a minute.
Yeah, it's weird how that affects that.
We will
just kind of ruins everything. It just ruins football just in general. So I think we want. I guess we're headed towards UT and OU facing each other.
Oklahoma State, probably.
Well, let's see.
Because all the Pokes have to do is win. And who do they have?
Oh, that's right. Because they beat OU. You're right. You're right.
They have like,
so if BYU wins,
Houston, you got BYU. Yeah, BYU. Oklahoma State tomorrow. But if BYU wins, then you get the weirdness of some of the tiebreakers.
Well, UT, Oklahoma State. I think that's who I predicted to be in it last season.
You were just a year off.
I was ahead of my time. I'm pretty sure that was it.
So yeah, we'll get back into football season and do the preview episode the week of the bowl game.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But from here on out, basically, it's going to be basketball, and we'll do. I can't remember what we decided on, Michael, but we're going to go down to one episode a week for a minute.
Yeah.
Until conference play. That's what it was. We're going to go to one episode a week until conference play, and then we'll do the Tuesday, Saturday thing again. Get you a preview and instant reaction on the weekend. Or not, well, yeah, we'll get a reaction recap of the week's games, and then get you the preview set up for the upcoming. So I don't know, man. Unless you got anything else,
that does it for me. I think I was done like 30 minutes ago, but then I kept finding probably
well, you had to keep
sad things to bring up.
filling space because the equipment was being stupid. So we went much longer than we probably would have if the.
It's because I'm a professional, Spencer. I'm a professional broadcaster.
Yeah. Anyways, that'll do it for us on the 23 Personnel Podcast. For Michael, I'm Spencer. We will be back on Tuesday for regularly scheduled programming, focusing on the basketball season ahead, trying to make heads or tails about what's going on with them and looking ahead to that season. So, again, for Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you next time.